So here we go. I said I would jump to the back of the book for one very important reason, because this takes a little while of getting used to. But this is a real key to healing the emotional body and healing with the will, which is the part of us that feels. As I said, it's all about relationship. Everything is in relationship with everything. Yeah. Every person in your life, you have a particular relationship. Even, let's say, you're not good friends with them, let's say, or you rather don't see them, or in any way there's a relationship. Everything is connected and everything is relating to everything. And one of the most crucial relationships is our relationship to our feelings. Obviously, I'm speaking to the mind of a person more than anything. And the shocker information is that it is this mind that needs probably most of the healing, which is first unrecognized. For so long I thought the shadow part of me was somewhere deep down. It's actually right there, hidden behind the facade, the ego's little machinations, and there is another part of our mind that needs healing. Raju Saval has a very different take on the word ego, and it actually says there's nothing wrong with ego if it's part of everything, but it acknowledges that there is a disease in this ego, and it's this disease that needs healing. And can call it disease, but we can also call it a shadow, because it's so cleverly hidden. And that what's hidden is an attitude. It's a resentful attitude that's masquerading as a smile, or everything is fine, I'm doing okay. This is what we're going to look into now. So this is at the back of the book. It's chapter before last, because there are a few editions now of this first book, so I can't recall a page, but it's called Steps to Healing and a Complete Recovery. When I read it first time, that complete recovery didn't really sink in as what it's really saying. It's talking about complete recovery, and here are the steps to it. And I find that this was the most important aspect of Raju Saval. And I met hundreds of people who've been doing these books over the last 30 or so years, and but every time I ask, so how'd you go with the steps? The answer is usually, what are you talking about? And then when we reveal what I am going to reveal to you now, they say, oh, I didn't do this. And this is the absolute bottom line. So I begin to read. Recognizing your own denial is the first step. Here it is. Recognize every feeling and thought you would otherwise push away or ignore. So let's say you're feeling something, and then there is a thought as well that says so and so. Very hard to catch. That's a part that's so quick and so, as a matter of fact, that it gets easily missed. I want to point out, and this is very important, that positive thinking is based on denial when it focuses on only a part of yourself. Part of you gets better and stronger, and other part gets more denied. This is why so many feel they have to discipline and otherwise pressure themselves. The denied part is trying to get acceptance. What? The denied part is trying to get acceptance. It's a very important word in Right You So Will. You need to accept everything that is there with you and give it release so it can tell you what it needs and wants. Without acceptance, the will cannot evolve, it cannot move, it cannot be free. It cannot be free-flowing will, just like this delicious energy when it doesn't meet any opposition. Like I said, even a negative feeling can feel incredible. Like I can be furious, and if it's not opposed by anything, it simply expresses itself and then it's done. It doesn't have to be denied and stored, because every time we store it, it comes back. It comes as a reaction, reacting what has been denied. The next step is reclaiming this denied part of yourself. In so doing, you must not feel it is just a mental exercise. You must accept everything that comes from any place in you and express it emotionally with yourself. So far, the best way I found expressing emotionally is expressing more with sound than anything else. So next time you feel triggered or you feel some emotion, see if you can give it a tone, see if you can give it a sound. This creation is a vibration, and will vibrates, whereas thoughts are more like sequential ideas, yeah? They have a sequence, whereas feeling is usually one feeling. In case you're feeling a lot of feelings, I would suggest to even slow down deeper and look at what's underneath it. If you can't access it, that's where the sound is really good, because the sound reverberates something that got stuck. See, that the original cause is health feeling. That's what original cause is. Something happens and we go, and we're locked in. And then, often, we don't let go. It keeps being locked, it's being held, and then it gets forgotten, and it's still a cramp. It's still a tension somewhere in the body. When you have expressed everything, you can, in any one session, determine whether this feels like it is part of you or not. If there is no way you can come to peace with this expression as a part of you, ask me to put it in its right place. Then let it go, and I'll do this for you. This is God speaking to you directly. It's me just reading it. So what did he say? If there is no way you can come to peace with this expression as a part of you, because sometimes you might say, hey, this shame is not part of me. It must be someone else's. Well, where is it? It's in you. So it's yours. It's yours to resurrect. And it is entirely possible if you know how, if you use these steps. However, sometimes it's going to feel like there is no movement, like it's so frozen and it's so held together that there is no movement, and you might be making sound, you might be releasing judgment, and nothing happens. So then you go, ask me to put it in its right place. So go, God, your turn. Now help me. Now I really need your help, right? Then let it go, and I will do this for you. If you feel a little ceremony is in order, do that. Or ask me for help in any way you feel is right for you. If the expression doesn't feel like it's like a part of you, but it's very sickened by its state of denial, you need to nurse it back to health in any way you can. Now, this is the paragraph that is, and for me personally, was an absolute game changer. And now it gives you the steps. I made this into these steps, and if you listen to the audio that was recorded by Barry Pearson, he has recorded something that I've written. I've written this little article about this and how to actually do it, with just sharing my experience around it. So let's say, so grab a feeling that you find is really not very easy for you to be with. Yeah? Something that's very sickened by its state of denial. Hey? But who is denying it? You, right? Like you don't have a good relationship with this particular feeling. So you're away from it, it's away from you, and there is a gap. There is no life between you two. So if you find a feeling, I actually started doing this with my body today, because you can do it with anything. So the first step is talk to it. And it's as simple. This is not, you don't have to do it in some Shakespearean language. You simply go, hello feeling, hello. Okay, let me use shame then, because I used that. So you begin to talk to it. It's like, hello shame, I don't like you. I find you the most atrocious, horrible thing in the existence. Like, I'm obviously making this up. Whatever comes, talk to it. Tell it. What if you were just the most honest you've ever been, and you're going to tell this feeling how it is to live in its presence? Because hey, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not just sitting there under the rock and rotting. That's why we die, because we just hold something and it has no life. The life doesn't come to it. The light never blesses it. So talk to it. Say hello. Break the ice. Hey, sometimes you might stay on this first step for quite some time, because even saying hello is too much. Imagine you have some mortal enemy that you can't even look into their face. Sometimes I have couples counseling and they can't even look at each other, right? So sometimes things just build up. And this relationship with people, we have equal problem. Actually, we have equal problem with our emotions, but the emotions are the cause why we have these issues with people, because the world is only reflecting how we are relating to ourselves. So instead of denying feeling and saying they're not part of awakening, we're going to go exactly the opposite way. We're going to go, hello, I want to get to know you, I want to make up. I had enough of this separation. Because you see, when you having no good relationship with your shame, your will feels rejected, because she is all of it. She is all the colors, she is all the shades, she's all expressions, she is everything. She's an ocean of things. Yeah, she's the great water. What does ocean have? You know, everything. It has shallow waters, deep waters, dark waters, light waters, currents, sharks, beautiful fish, right? Dolphins. Yeah. So all of this is, you know, a feeling realm. Good, bad, ugly, and magnificent, right? Because when you resurrect all these little relationships, everything unifies. Your will within itself will unify, and you unify with it. So talk to it, and also see if you can get it to talk to you. I say hello. You will get an answer. I sure did. And I nearly shit my pants, because it was like, holy moly, there's a thing in me that's talking to me. I don't want to scare you, but it's really actually a real thing. So that's a step number one. Now step number two, it says in here, accept its responses to you. So I would even say, do you have acceptance for this response it has to you? Yeah? Because you start talking to it, it's not going to give you like a lovely kiss straight away. And it might, but I haven't seen that happen so easily. Particularly if we have a long-standing bad relationship with something or a feeling. It's usually in a bad shape, like it says in here. We picked one that is very sickened by its state of denial. So, do you have acceptance for it? Say yes or no. There is no in between. Yeah. And saying no is more honest than saying a false yes. Of course I do, because it's all one and everything is love. That's an absolute bullshit. Yeah? Because if it was all love, that wouldn't be a sick place in you anywhere. So that takes that out. So can you accept it? And sometimes you might just go like no. And then you might even come to a place where there is non-acceptance at all. Now what you do? Now you accept that you have a non-acceptance. Because really, until non-acceptance is accepted, so it can heal. See, non-acceptance is also could be a part of our sickened state. So within this is another aspect of rejection. Yeah, it's not okay that it's not okay. And then you might ask, and is that okay that you have this non-acceptance? And then you might go, no. And now what you do? See, now it sounds like you're screwed. No, you're not. You simply accept the fact that you have a non-acceptance of non-acceptance. Now this might feel like it scrambles your mind. And this scrambling is exactly what is needed. Because until you see the depth of non-acceptance this little separated part of your mind has, you won't see where it is locked in. You won't see the size of it. And it's massive. And it's like, I call it the unconditional non-acceptance of feeling. That little part lives somewhere in us and it's operating on a full tilt. So accept its responses to you. Can you accept them? And sometimes you can. So accept its responses. Now step 3. Explain to it why you felt you had to deny it. So I'm just gonna make up a story. So like, hey, shame, I denied you because you're an awful feeling. You come up when I least need you, and I feel embarrassed that I'm feeling this way. You simply verbally explain to it why you felt you had to deny it. Now, when you begin to do this, you might feel slight shift. With any of these, sometimes people say hello to it and they break down in crying and have an emotional release. Sometimes they notice that they have this unconditional non-acceptance for it. Again, comes a healing hot tears come to your eyes, you know. Sometimes you explain to it why you've been denying it, and because you are so honest and because you're so willing, to heal this part of your will, it suddenly leaps and embraces you. In that embrace, it shifts, and suddenly it doesn't look so ugly, doesn't look so dark, doesn't look so bad. I go like, wow, you're quite an amazing thing. It's true, right? It means you have resurrected this part of yourself. It might happen, but it might not. If it doesn't, we're going to step 4. Step 4 is to apologize to it. So now that you see that you have not had a good relationship with this, and you've been denying it and hiding it, and you made it very sick by your rejection. Imagine it's a little child that never receives your attention, ever. Know of anyone who had a father who never received them, or mother, or a friend, or a group of people, right? What does that make you feel like? Yeah, it's not the most resurrecting thing, is it? So, obviously, you have done it to it, and so apology is the way to go. So you go, hey, shame, I apologize for being so prudish and disconnected from you and not giving you ever any acceptance or love or embrace. And your shame might still have arms folded. I'm going like, I'm not even answering to you. Because you know what? It is upset. It is upset. If you don't respond lovingly to something, eventually it's going to be not very happy. So apologize to it. Ask its forgiveness. Step 5. Ask its forgiveness. Hey, shame, forgive me for being so unloving towards you for this long. And you probably have no idea how long this has been going on. And I'm not big on going about lifetimes, but I guarantee you it's been a very long time, this separation between spirit and will. And number 6 is forgive yourself for denying it. Because you did it. You got to say, hey, I haven't been that good to this part of myself. So forgive yourself for denying it. In short, negotiate a new relationship. Now, negotiate a new relationship between this part of yourself and the rest of you. Well, actually do it, right? We are re-establishing a new friendship. So let's say you and I are enemies. And at some point, it becomes unbearable and I go, oh my God, I just don't want to be passing by and never say hello or smile or anything. So I'll reach out and say, hey, talk to it. Talk to you. Hello. Hey, it's been bad. could we just do something? So we align. Look, I'm sorry if I ever said anything. I usually take full responsibility because it's happening in my reality. Yeah. So what we're doing now is we're changing the attitude. We're reaching to it. And our will is begging for us to reach to it. But it could be so frozen and so sickened, not as that particular feeling, but as a whole thing. Our will is not well. And that's why we have these extremes going on in our life, if we do. Like I used to have extremes. Now I don't have so much extremes. I have few bits popping here and there, but most of the time it's very amicable in my life. And I sincerely think that this had a lot to do with it. Because as I connected to my will is no longer magnetizing situation in which I need to be in conflict. Now, number 7, got release judgments involved. And for me, it was like shame. I've been calling you shame. Maybe you are not shame. Maybe you're something else. And it was exactly at that point, and I did this for a few days. It wasn't like straight away. And I was just discovering it at that time. And then there was this exquisite moment where I would go, hello shame, are you there? And then shame would appear, but it would be transformed. I often use that metaphor of princess and a frog. Well, in my case, it would be a prince and a frog. And so what happened in that story, that despite the ugliness, the princess kisses the frog and it turns into a prince. And this was exactly the same experience. Suddenly this feeling was just beautiful. I still felt shame, which was very interesting. But I was feeling so elevated and so alive and so renewed. And I could see that healing has occurred of a mega proportion, because what this showed me is that I can heal feelings in me that I don't have good relationship with. So immediately went on to talking to anger, and that was my next to evolve. And like this, and I could almost guarantee that you don't have too many of these feelings. You will have maybe 4 or 5 most sickened by their state of denial that needs resurrection. So if you got a lot of anger going on around you, I would address anger. If you feel terrified, I will begin to talk to terror. So it depends what's happening, and this is what these steps actually say is the actual practice that it's going to ask us to get into for quite some time. And just to finish these steps, because I call it the 8 steps, and then allow this part of yourself to be a participant in your daily life. So you go, hey, shame, I want you to be part of my existence. Because now it's just so gorgeous, right? So it's still a very beautiful feeling. And actually, when I have a situation, when I feel some shame, I actually invite them and go like, whoa, I'm feeling so much shame right now. And when you are transparent with it and really opened, it actually just passes through, which I call a pass-through. And all feelings supposed to pass through. That is the free will. They are free to flow. Just know that in you is also a birth of feeling, a creation of brand new feelings that have not yet expressed themselves. Why? Because of the mind's artillery of thoughts. They say, hey, feelings, don't even try. Yeah? And so the will knows this. Your feeling container, let's call it for a second, this whole thing, it knows that you don't like it, that you're not that good in a relationship with your fury or rage or hate. Hate is a really beautiful feeling when it begins to get healed. Hate is only ugly because of that sickened state it is in. You know, because the whole world tells you you must not hate, right? But I prove you completely wrong about this. If you could just allow yourself, and this is actual practice, if you have a good friend, you can help each other. You sit together and you go, whoever wants to go first, and you can go, so what do you hate? And you go, I hate when it rains too much. Thank you. And what else do you hate? I hate that, kids get abused. Thank you. And what else do you hate? I hate celery. Just anything. Does not matter. And as you start doing this, you will be amazed how many things you might hate. Now, I have met few people who are so determined that there is no hate in them that they would deny there is anything they hate. Just keep probing. The Pandora box will open. But it's going to be not bad. Now, I'll tell you a story, what happened to me. I did say it in a few of my podcasts, but this was such a winner because something happened that never happened before at that time. We're talking maybe 10 years ago. I was with my best buddy and we were just doing Righteous of Will together, reading all the books. And she picked up something in me and I could not get in touch with it. And sometimes when you have a friend and they can feel something you can't feel, they can bypass your gap by feeling it in them and feeling it so strongly that you pick up on it, right? Just don't get addicted to this, trying to find people to feel things for you. But this worked this time really brilliantly because she could feel something, I could not feel it until I could feel it through her. And I went like, God, this is like a hatred. But I have never encountered that level, that amount of hatred in myself because I was so positive, right? Right? And so we made that. I don't even know how it started. I think she invited me to go on about everything I hate. And so I went off for good 45 minutes, maybe even 50, or maybe even an hour. I definitely lost sense of time. And there was no rock that was unturned. There was no stone that was unturned. I said everything I hate, including hating the self, hating others, hating things, hating governments, hating God, hating angelic realms, and just expressed hatred. Now watch. What was I doing? Was I hurting anyone? She sure didn't look offended. I was not hurting everyone. I was healing the hatred through expression of it. Now here comes the kicker, because I came to an end, and eventually I said, well, that's it. And then she says, are you sure? And I said, yeah, I just can't find anything. And I seriously was completely empty. Like there was nothing else I could actually say. I named it all. And for a few minutes, as if nothing was happening, and I thought, oh, that was an interesting exercise. Except within about 5 minutes, from that place where all this hatred was coming from, came the most exquisite love I have ever felt in my existence at that time. I felt something more than that since, but at that time, this was brand new. You know, I was in love, and I felt a lot of love here and there for certain things, amazing love for music. But this love, I've never felt anything like it. And it was coming from that place that I would at least expect it to come from. So that's my story about expressing feelings to the max. Yeah, take one and be about it. Take one and do these 8 steps with it. Of course, if it's for you. If you think this is not for you, absolutely not for you. And I'm only sharing this because I found that this was a game changer. It was an absolute game changer. So the last step was accept its contribution to what you feel like doing. I personally made it certain that I would connect to this particular feeling several times a day as a decision. That's just me. And it was definitely well worth it. Now let me go on reading. This is a process that is going to be ongoing for quite some time in your life if you really get into it and find all your own denial. Definitely read this sentence very fast the first time and didn't really pay that much attention to it until when I discovered this, where I studied every sentence to the most minute detail. This is a process that is going to be ongoing for quite some time in your life if you really get into it and find all your own denial. If you feel you cannot spot all of your own denial, let outward reality show it to you. Now, this is profound. And what I love about this gives you so much power because you're no longer relying on anyone. You go, aha. So, and how do you do that? So, let's say something's happening and you got to, instead of making a story of what's happening, you need to find out, how does this situation make me feel? Yeah. Now I tell you a little secret. Often when I ask people, how does that make you feel? They quickly answer, that was just mind or ego rushing in to establish its security. So I don't buy it. Then I go, no, I didn't say what you think. I said, what are you feeling? How does that make you feel? And then comes tears and comes this chesty sobbing usually. And they tell me the emotion that happens, which is wonderful. But I did not ask about emotion. I actually asked about feeling. And there's a big difference between feeling and emotion. emotions are more of a chesty and upper, whereas feeling comes from deep down and is usually just one at a time. When there are many, you're pretty much more in an emotional state, which is absolutely important to express and give it release. But I keep going until there is one feeling. That's just how I do it. Now, that one feeling in you will have this, you will definitely not have a good relationship to that feeling. That will be the one you begin to do the steps with. You see my point? Now, so this is how you find all your denials. You use outer reality, and I tell you, if you keep using it and using the outer reality, at some point this world will have no longer reflection for you. And that's what we call the forgiven world, because you're no longer having a world to reflect your conflict, because you have none. If you don't have a conflict with yourself, you don't have conflict reflected to you. With me? Now this is something that has been a source of much confusion on earth, but feeling it, not talking about it, not emoting around it, but feeling it is going to straighten this out. Well, I went ahead, I can see. This is how you can see your own denial in outer reality. Look at everything that is happening in the world and let all your feelings about it come up. May I recommend that you look at the world that's your immediate vicinity, that's in your immediate vicinity, that's the world that's around you, your direct relationship with a neighbor, partner, colleague, name it. Yeah, but something that's happening in your world. If you go into an internet world, you might be doing this for a very long time. It works, but I would still begin to work with what's tangible in your reality, in your physical, actual reality. So express them with yourself at first and find out what they really are. Then allow yourself to take any action you feel will improve your own situation on earth. Notice everything you feel. It doesn't say notice everything you think. It's notice everything you feel in relationship to taking action. Express these emotions. Do not push yourself into action before you feel ready. If you need to release emotions in advance of taking any actions, do that. Then he goes, I love this example. Then start with something simple that you feel you can do. For example, you might start telling someone who is talking to you for longer than you want to listen to that you have to end the conversation. It's like, do something simple. So try that one. And one has to be very artful to be able to do this. And really honest. Yeah? Tell them exactly when you feel it should end, and do not give an untrue excuse for ending it. It's like saying like, hey, guess what? I really got to go now. Instead of saying, hey, whatever you're on about, I don't have a space for it right now, and I need to end this conversation, and I bet you find someone else to talk to about it, but I can't do it. Like, be dead honest. Let's start with something simple, right? Tell them exactly when you feel it should end and do not give them an untrue excuse for ending it. This has not been considered polite in many circles, but I want to point out that manners are based on denial. The acceptance of true feelings does not require any manners at all because the attunement is perfect. You will find this out by trying it. If the ones around you will not accept this from you, you need to move on and find people that are not interested in denying one another in favor of externalized procedure. This is form that is not aligned with essence. If manners happen automatically, they are aligned with essence. And it just goes on. I actually don't want to read the whole chapter because it is plenty of pages. But I wanted to bring out this particular paragraph because I found that was one of the most healing things that actually happened with this right use of will that I missed for years, you know. If it said like, well, how do you feel about it? I begin to talk about it. And I was wondering why I was upsetting people. Yeah? It's not meant to be like that. Expressing feelings don't talk. Yeah, you heard me say that before. Feelings don't talk. Thoughts talk. Feelings expand, express more in a telepathic way. Or emphatic way. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. They ooze. The best word I have for it, for me, is they ooze. They extend, they expand, and they have a perfect communication. When we come to this chapter called Lemuria, they will tell us, which is very helpful, they will tell us that there was a whole civilization called Lemuria, which you probably heard about, Atlantis and Lemuria. Big distinction is that there was a big difference between those two, and they're often put in a one big bag. But Right Use of Will takes these civilizations very seriously because one of them was very feeling polarized and the other one was very spirit polarized. So in Lemuria, which was feeling polarized, they actually did not have language. That's why I often say, you know, part of you that only feels. There is no thoughts in there. Feelings don't talk. These books keep saying, hey, as a little of words as possible. Yeah, when it comes to actual process of like how to do it. If I was communicating that way, I think I'd lose you in about third minute of going wild with sound and vibration. You probably thought I was nuts. However, there's an incredible power in being able to share this way. So in Lemuria, they had a sign language of a sort, but most of it was this emphatic communication of feelings. Yeah. So you feel something and I'm feeling exactly identical thing. People often say, you know, you can't feel what the other person feels. I think that's normal. It's an absolute rubbish. That is because both of them have a lid on it. If you take the lid off, that's exactly how we should communicate and know exactly what the other person is feeling, and I have tested this, and they would just say, yep, exactly. So there we go. So this was the steps to healing and complete recovery, and you can listen to this and it's probably informative, but applying it is gold. Actually choosing a feeling and really going with it. So like I say, I'm connecting more to my body this time, and so actually doing these steps on my physical body. You know, hello body, hello. No response. It's very upset with me because I constantly tell it what to do and where we go and what we'll eat, and I don't listen to it. And so this is my homework, because my body is starting to show signs where I need to really sit down and go, okay, I must be doing something that's not right. And like I said before, this gap between the mind and the body is massive. Good luck, and good luck to me with this, because I've been onto it for a couple of days now, and I'm going like, wow, this is hard. So if any of you also have any ways that you manage to connect to your body and how you do it, please leave a message, and it could serve greater good, hopefully. So yeah, hey, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you where are we going next. All right.